Hey everyone, this is Reddit Family Secrets. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd love to know your thoughts about this story and what you think about the characters and their decisions. Share your thoughts in the comments. Enjoy the story. They say the moment your whole life shifts, it rarely announces itself with thunder. Sometimes it arrives on a Wednesday night over cold pizza and a muted baseball game, in the form of your wife's voice dropping just low enough to tell you something's been rehearsed. My name doesn't matter, but hers does. I'll call her Melissa. And for 7 years, I thought I knew every version of her. Turns out, I only knew the one she showed me. We were in our living room in our house outside of Nashville, the one with the wraparound porch we'd spent 2 summers arguing over paint colors for, before settling on slate gray. I was half watching the Braves game, Melissa was picking at a slice of Domino's, and everything felt ordinary. Safe. That's what gets you. The ordinary. She muted the TV. I've been thinking about something, she said. The calm in her voice had that specific engineering to it, like she practiced in the bathroom mirror. I've been reading about open relationships. Some couples are doing really well with them. I put down my beer. What kind of couples? Progressive ones. She tilted her head with that soft, academic tilt she got when she was trying to frame something uncomfortable as intellectual. It's not about not loving each other. It's about freedom, exploration, growing as individuals while staying connected. I want to be honest with you. My first reaction wasn't rage. It wasn't even hurt. It was this strange, hollow confusion. Like when you're driving a route you've driven 100 times and suddenly you don't recognize the street. You want to see other people, I said. I want us to be honest with each other about our needs. Translation: yes. Here's the thing about me. I'm a 38-year-old project manager from Franklin, Tennessee. I coach youth soccer on weekends. I make really good cornbread. I am not, by any stretch, what you'd call a pushover. But I looked at Melissa that night, at those bright, earnest eyes that had watched me cry at my dad's funeral and held my hand through 3 cross-country moves, and I couldn't find the word no. Because somewhere underneath the pitch was a question I was terrified to answer. If I said no, would I be the guy who caged her? The insecure husband who held her back from becoming whoever she thought she was supposed to be? So I said yes. We wrote rules. An actual list, on a legal pad, like we were founding a small government. No mutual friends. No one from either of our workplaces. No bringing anyone to the house. Honesty above everything. She kissed me after we finished and whispered, "Thank you for trusting me." I folded the legal pad and put it in the kitchen drawer next to the takeout menus. That should have been my first sign. The first few weeks were quiet. Melissa started going to gallery openings on Thursday nights. Then Friday nights. She'd come home with this specific energy, a brightness that wasn't for me, that she'd clearly burned off elsewhere and was now just settling back into her regular life with me as the comfortable furniture. She explained her evenings in too much detail, like someone reading from a script they'd already memorized. I lay in our bed those nights, staring at the ceiling fan, telling myself I was evolved. I told myself I was a modern man who understood that love wasn't ownership. I told myself a lot of things at 1 a.m. Then she mentioned a guy named Connor. Just once, casually, this guy Connor I met at the Frist opening, super interesting dude. Then Connor appeared again. Then Connor became a recurring character. And one Tuesday I walked into the bathroom and saw a man's deodorant on the edge of our sink. "It's not a big deal," she said when I picked it up. "This is our house, Melissa. Don't be dramatic." I put the deodorant back down. Said nothing, because I was being supportive. But something happened in me that night. Something quiet and tectonic. I looked at the rules on that legal pad, the ones we'd written together, the ones she'd kissed me over, and I realized they'd never been for her. They were for me. They were a fence she'd built around my side of the yard while leaving her own gate wide open. I decided to stop waiting at the fence. I wasn't looking for anyone. I want to be clear about that. I'm not the kind of man who goes hunting when he's hurting. That's not how I was raised, and honestly, I was too emotionally exhausted for strategy. But the silence in that house had gotten loud. The kind of loud that rings in your ears when you realize you've been waiting for something that's already left. I went to my buddy Marcus's housewarming in East Nashville, One of those parties with too much exposed brick and a charcuterie board the size of a coffee table. I was standing near the drinks, not talking to anyone in particular, when a woman next to me said, loudly, to no one specifically, "This playlist is a cry for help." I laughed. She was leaning against the counter with a glass of red wine, dark-haired, wearing a flannel over a dress in a way that somehow made complete sense. Her name was Dana. She worked in landscape architecture and had opinions about native plants that she delivered like they were gospel, and I mean that as a sincere compliment. We talked for 2 hours. We didn't float, or maybe we did without performing it. It was just easy, natural, the way conversations feel when both people are actually present. When she asked if I was seeing someone, I told her the truth. All of it. She raised an eyebrow. "And how's that working out for you?" "Better for her than me, so far." She nodded slowly. No pity, no judgment. Just, if you ever want someone to get into an argument about Tennessee soil composition over dinner, let me know. I didn't call her for a week. But Melissa came home one Friday smelling like someone else's cologne, chatted cheerfully about Connor's new apartment downtown, and asked if I'd remembered to pay the electric bill, all in the same breath. And I thought about Dana, about how she'd looked at me like I was a person with a story worth hearing. I texted her. Our first date was dinner at this small Italian place on Gallatin Avenue. No agenda, no pretense. She asked about my work, about what I'd wanted to be when I was a kid, about the last book that actually stayed with me. She listened to the answers, not in the way where someone's waiting for their turn to talk. Actually listened, eyes on mine, occasionally asking follow-up questions that proved she'd heard the last thing I said. At one point, she looked at me over her pasta and said, "You seem like someone who's used to being the steady one, the person who holds everything together." I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "I think I've been holding together something that was already falling apart." She didn't offer me a solution or a silver lining. She just said, "That sounds exhausting." And somehow, that was exactly right. I started seeing Dana regularly. I told Melissa. That was the deal. Remember, honesty above everything. The morning Melissa figured out it was real, she was getting ready for work, and I was buttoning a shirt she'd never seen me wear. "Where are you going?" "Brunch." She paused with her mascara one midi. "With who?" "Dana." The temperature in the room dropped about 15 degrees. "Is it serious?" she asked. I thought about that for a second. About how Dana texted me photos of weird plants she found on job sites. About how she remembered I hated cilantro. About how she asked follow-up questions. About how she never once made me feel like I was a footnote in my own life. She remembers things, I said. Melissa turned back to the mirror. She didn't say anything else. But her jaw was set in a way I hadn't seen before. Something between anger and something older. Something that looked a lot like Faye. The passive aggression started small. Cabinets closed a little harder. Melissa started mentioning Connor less. Started being home more. Started asking me questions she'd stopped asking months ago. Where I was going, when I'd be back, was I being safe? All the things she'd waved away as suffocating when I'd tried to stay connected to her. One night I came home to find Connor on our couch, shoes off, feet on the coffee table, watching a show on my Netflix account like he owned the place. Melissa was in the kitchen. I set my keys down quietly. Connor gave me that chin-lift greeting men give each other when they are not sure of the social geometry of a situation. "Hey, man," he said. "Hey." Melissa appeared in the doorway looking like she'd forgotten I existed until this exact moment. 2 nights later, she sat me down. "I think we need to revisit our arrangement," she said. Official tone. Like a HR meeting. "Revisit how?" "Scale back. Just for a while. Focus on us." I looked at her. "You mean I should stop seeing Dana?" "Not stop. Just pause. While we reconnect." I said very slowly. "Just me. Pause. While you continue." She reached for my hand. "Marcus, this isn't working the way I imagined it." I pulled my hand back. "It's working exactly the way you designed it. You just didn't design it for me to actually participate." That landed. I watched it land. She looked at me like I'd moved a piece on a board she thought only she had access to. "I feel like I'm losing you," she said. You made a choice that said you were okay with that possibility. I'm just the one who believed you. I came home early on a Saturday, a few weeks later. Laundry, maybe a nap, a quiet afternoon. Instead, I walked into the living room and stopped cold. Connor was standing up, arms crossed. Melissa was on the couch, eyes down. His voice was controlled but pointed. I told you from jump, Melissa. I don't do complicated. I don't do married. I thought this was casual. She didn't say anything. I'm not going to be the guy you run to because your husband figured out he doesn't have to wait around. He grabbed his jacket, saw me in the doorway, gave a short, humorless exhale. Hey, man, sorry about the couch. He walked out. The door closed. The house got very quiet. Melissa looked up at me with smudged mascara and a bun that had come half undone. Not the confident, radiant woman who had paused our TV one night and changed the shape of our marriage. Just a person who'd made a calculation that hadn't gone the way she'd planned. You okay? I asked. No, she said quietly. I nodded. Okay. I went upstairs, did my laundry, ordered a burger from DoorDash. That night I fell asleep before she came to bed, and for the first time in months, I slept all the way through. Melissa got quiet after that. No late nights. No mentions of gallery openings. The house had this weird, still energy, like a storm that had already passed but left all the furniture rearranged. Meanwhile, Dana and I were finding our stride. We went hiking at Percy Warner Park on a Saturday morning, and she narrated the entire trail like a nature documentary, making fun of herself the whole time. We cooked together. She was obsessed with making everything from scratch, which I found both impressive and mildly exhausting. She called me on her lunch breaks, not to say anything important, just to check in. One evening I was on the phone with her in the kitchen, laughing about some disaster she'd had with a client's backyard irrigation system, when Melissa walked in. She got a glass of water and left without a word, but I caught her expression in the half-second before she turned away. It wasn't anger. It was the specific look of someone realizing they'd been standing at the wrong door the whole time. The next morning, Melissa made breakfast. Eggs, toast, fresh orange juice. I stood in the kitchen doorway and stared. You haven't cooked breakfast in probably 2 years, I said. She smiled, small and uncertain. I thought we could start doing small things again. I sat down, looked at the plate, then looked at her. You can't undo it with eggs, Melissa. She looked down at her hands. I know. You asked for space, I said, quieter. And I gave it to you. And then I filled it. And now you want me to unfill it. I didn't think you would, she whispered. Fill it. And there it was. The most honest thing she'd said since this started. She had counted on me staying still. She had built her freedom on the assumption of my paralysis. And somewhere in the back of her mind, she had been so certain I would wait, that I would still be there, steady and reliable and a little wounded, whenever she decided to come back to me, that she'd never actually considered what it would look like if I didn't. It was a Sunday in November when she finally said the real thing. We were at the kitchen table. Same 2 chairs we'd eaten at for 6 years. The light was that pale winter kind that makes everything look a little older than it is. She'd made pancakes. I think we should close things, she said. Go back to just us. I looked at my coffee. No more Connor. No more anyone. Just us, the way it was. I leaned back. The way it was before you brought another man's deodorant into our bathroom. She flinched. I made a mistake. A big one. I got caught up in, I don't know. I convinced myself it was about growth, and I think it was really about something else. I think I wanted to feel something, and instead I just broke something. The room was very quiet. I miss you, she said. I sat with that for a long moment. Longer than she probably wanted me to. Melissa, I said finally. I don't think I miss us. Her eyes snapped up. What? I miss who we were before the legal pad. Before the rules and the scheduled absences and the nights I spent staring at the ceiling trying to convince myself I was okay. I miss a version of us that I'm not sure exists anymore. I paused. I think you opened a door to see what was outside. And what I found outside was that I like who I am out there. I don't want to come back in. She started to cry. Not dramatically, just that quiet kind, the kind that comes from somewhere real. I stood up, walked to the bedroom. opened the drawer where I'd put the paperwork 2 weeks ago. I wasn't being theatrical. I wasn't doing it for revenge. I set the manila envelope on the table in front of her. "Marcus," she said, her voice small. "I want something real," I said. "Something mutual, where I don't have to wonder if I'm a placeholder." She stared at the envelope. "Is there someone else?" "There's me," I said. "I finally found me again." We finalized the divorce on a Tuesday morning at the courthouse in downtown Nashville. Melissa wore a charcoal blazer and her hair in a French twist, like she was going to a conference. Professional. Composed. Her hands trembled when she passed the pen back to the clerk. She caught me in the parking lot afterward. The air was sharp and cold. A few dry leaves skittered across the pavement between us. "I never thought it would end here," she said. "No one ever does." She searched my face for something. "Did she make you happier than I did?" I took a breath. "No, I made me happier. She just reminded me I was allowed to be." Melissa nodded slowly. "Once. I got in my car. I didn't look back." That was 8 months ago. We've exchanged a few texts since. Civil, brief, the kind you send when a song comes on that reminds you of a chapter of your life that's finished but not entirely gone. I reply politely. She gets the message. Dana and I haven't rushed anything. She didn't need a title from me or 5-year plan. She just showed up, consistently and without an agenda, and let things develop at whatever pace they needed to. We spent Christmas hiking in the Smokies and arguing, affectionately, about which national park was actually best. She insists on Big Bend. I'm holding firm on Glacier. Neither of us is budging, and I find I don't mind. Some evenings I sit on the porch of my new place in East Nashville, coffee going cold in my hand, listening to the neighborhood settle into night. Dana's usually inside, maybe reading, maybe re-watching something she's already seen 3 times because she says you catch different things on the second viewing. And I think about what Melissa wanted when she paused that TV and started her speech. I think she wanted permission, freedom, to feel like herself again. I understand that. I really do. What she didn't understand, what she never thought to ask, was whether I might want the same things. Whether her freedom and my freedom might end up pointing in different directions. She thought open meant I leave and you wait. She was right about one half of that sentence. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want while someone else holds everything together. Freedom is finally being seen for who you actually are and having the courage to stay there, even when the life you're walking into is nothing like the one you planned. I stayed. I just stopped waiting at the door. Thanks for listening. If this hit home for you, you already know why. Hit the subscribe button, like and stay tuned for more.